what's up, guys? This is Jason. So this is a series that we've put together. It's a podcast that Ray, Sardines, and myself are going to be doing. In this first episode, we're just going to be going over the Project MPR mod and what we were able to accomplish, what we've been doing since then. We'll also go into some other topics over the course of this series, including our thoughts on the Metroid Prime remaster, the official remaster from Nintendo. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm also going to be working on some other content, so you'll be seeing some more uploads here. But yeah, hope you enjoy. Check it out. So what you guys been up to, man?
Well, ever since we released, let's go back a few years. Ever since we released Phase 1 of MPR, we tried quite a lot of things. The first thing, obviously, you might be aware of is our own IP, which we'll get into later. But mostly, I would say we've been busy with work, tons of work. Since then, I've started teaching as well, so that's like a second job on the side.
Similar to Ray 3D, also very busy with work. I also teach, but on the side, something that really motivated me after the Metroid Prime Remastered release was to kind of see what they did in the areas of the game and see if I could replicate that in Unreal Engine. I never really did a project like that, but I was learning new things about Unreal Engine so that maybe one day we can do like a Sanctuary Fortress remake or something like that, assuming Prime 2 doesn't come out.
Same, personally, I've been working on my house, remodeling my house. Been doing that for a while now, but I'm almost done with that. And so just me and my dad for most of it, doing all the work ourselves and just like handcrafting a lot of stuff and just being creative in a different way. So it's been really cool. And then also I was working on the music for Project Outlander, which we'll talk about more in a minute too. But you guys still in contact with anyone else from Team MPR?
Kind of, sort of. Well, I've been occasionally following their work. In particular, like I always end up seeing Sir Mangler's name on emulators, and I've just been telling him, hey, like your stuff on the the Xbox versions of Dolphin and everything is like really cool. I've been watching Neryl's uploads as well. There are a few members that I haven't quite heard from recently, but I would definitely love to know, but not as much as I would like to, I would say, in short.
I would say the same thing. Basically took the words out of my mouth. Neryl was pretty busy when he got on the project, and he even made a video about it. So been definitely watching his stuff. As for everybody else, it's the same thing. Haven't heard from too many people.
Mr. Mandelli, probably the one I've briefly speak to or see or interact with the most.
Yes.
Other than you two. Not a lot of contact with guys. I wish we had more contact. We had more stuff to work on, but as far as the mod, though, and NPR, like, I think maybe future plans for the mod, there still could be some. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I would say the exact same words. I think once we all got busy doing our own thing, it became harder to just get together and, see what's up, since the team kind of went their own ways. But hopefully we can talk more about that throughout this podcast.
I mean, last 2 years for sure have been very much so a hell in a handbasket, given how busy things had become. Like, we're working, Lisa, Sean, and I have been working full-time, 12 hours in a day on some weekdays.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot, yeah. And that was the time where we just sort of pretty much fell off the grid. Didn't really have time to do much else. Yeah. Things are slowly easing up as we have acclimatized, I guess, is the kindest way to put it. So here's hoping that, well, maybe we might be able to do more stuff. I mean, we'll get more into that later.
So as far as the project and Prime Remastered project that we had going on there before the official release, we'd put a lot of work into that. What was your favorite part about the mod? What do you think was the biggest accomplishment in your eyes?
You go first, Ray.
I'm gonna go for the emulator improvements that were done by Sir Mangler, Shio, and also by Tino, who created the Ishiruka fork at the very beginning. I think that allowed us to really take advantage of features like normal maps, and also Sir Mangler's code, which was used to later on add dynamic lights, which just made certain room look incredibly good. I would say a couple of them even better than the actual remaster, the official remaster that came out from Nintendo. So I would say that was the most accomplished, like highest level thing that we probably accomplished in terms of the mod. And also just the quality of textures and just how sharp everything was. Yeah, so I would say definitely that. Like just the whole tech aspect of it.
Yeah, there's so much actually to really talk about. I overall had a great experience. I think the best thing about it was that there's so much diversity in the fact that there were a lot of teams involved in this project. We had content creators like Nero and even you, Jason, and then we also had people that were reverse engineering, Prime on PC, and those guys were involved in some ways.
Oh yeah,
the Dolphin team. Yeah, there's just so much. It was crazy. This was not a small project by any stretch of the imagination. When we started to see like articles being written about the project, it really felt like, okay, this is something people want, and we have to deliver in some shape and form. And it wasn't just that. It was like we were finding new ways to enhance it, as Ray 3D was saying, when he brought up the things about dynamic lighting with the way that the Ishiruka fork started to update ways for us to do it. And I'm sure Jason, you'll probably get more into this, but when we got normal maps into the game, our imagination started to go wild. I'll say that much and kind of leave the rest to you, Jason, but I do think like it's hard to just pinpoint one specific thing. But if I had to say one specific thing, I think phase one's like completion and then like post-production, I think that was the moment where we can like look back at what we did and be like, you know what, this is a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I could go into a lot of detail about the whole process and just how it kind of evolved, but I think we've done that before. Ultimately, what my favorite part about it was working with you guys and working with just so many smart people who were able to figure out so many cool things. You both touched on all that, but Sir Mangler and Prime Hack and Shio and the stuff that they did is so amazing. It was inspirational, and I think my favorite part is that I could contribute to that. And so just being able to have made some textures and things that inspired other people to want to do work, and then like you said, when we had the ability to then start using normal maps and then learning that creation process, all that, working with you guys and learning all that stuff was really, really fun. And that was my favorite part of the project for sure. But seeing how people reacted to it and how much they liked it, we all wanted an official remaster, and we got it. And yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad we got it. And so, but I'm also not, I don't feel bad about having put in a lot of work into that, because it's something that's still there and will stand the test of time for its own merits. So I think it's a good place to leave it, a good place for now. And if there is an opportunity to go back and work on maybe Echoes or something, that's something we'll have to wait and see. But I also really like being able to play in the different suits. Not just because we designed them,
cool.
But it's fun. It's fun to be able to just go in and kind of, I want to have the Dread suit, like Ray's Dread various suit's amazing. So I like to play in that one with the Dread Power suit. I might even do a playthrough with that. Why not? People might want to see that. It's pretty interesting.
We really played around a lot with the project. Like you mentioned the suits. We also toyed around with the idea of having day and night effects at one point.
Yeah.
Which would basically, yeah, where the time of day would actually advance throughout the game, and the latter half of the game would take place at like night or something, or the latter quarter of the game would take place at night. It was almost impossible for us to change the lights. That was the reason, because the lights that were affecting Samus's arm cannon were actually part of that proprietary MREA format in which the entire level geometry and everything is stored. And those lights were lights that would only illuminate Samus. Like, they would not illuminate anything else in the world other than Samus and maybe some other character. So they were like on a different lighting channel or lighting pass. Okay, we can't do night, but maybe we can just do like a really late dusk.
That's right.
Instead. So
it showed that we could get some stuff done as a team, and I also think I just liked how well we all worked together. We never ever put too much pressure on each other. There was pressure there because we were all serious about releases, but it wasn't like other situations started to become, I guess.
I will say that hindsight, I was very pleased with MPR's production because, as you mentioned, there was not a lot of pressure, and while things needed to get done, and the community is, I just have to say this to our community, thank you guys. You know, you've been super patient with us. I know we may have lost a couple of you, but most of you, we're always looking forward to it. We're always involved whenever we try to chat with you guys, and because of that, you didn't give us much pressure, not in a bad way, I mean. And then, of course, Jason, you and Ray, you two managed to do such a great job at handling the, I would say administrative stuff regarding MPR. And as a texture artist, I didn't feel at all, put on blast for not accomplishing something in time, or if I delivered something that was subpar. I don't know. I've often been told that everything is good, but regardless of the fact, I just think it was such a warming community, and there was always good feedback. And yeah, I mean, I can gush over this for a long time, but I definitely think that with the project we're about to talk to you in a bit, compared to this project, this was a much better project.
We really had the pipeline and stuff figured out. That was one of the first things we did, actually. We made like tools and stuff to actually make production easier. I remember we made the whole MPR texture enhancer tool, right? Where you could just drag and drop in a height map and a diffuse map, and it would instantaneously like make it right. Like a lot of automated processes. There was the Chozo tile generator that we did for the Chozo ruins. I wish you guys got to see more of the Chozo ruins too. That was one thing I feel like was really going well towards the end, until, of course, Nintendo released their own remaster.
Yeah.
I wanted to add to what you were saying, Ray. I thought the Orpheon was just such a blast. When we got to put our textures in there and then, mess around with the lighting, it was so satisfying to see the Orpheon unfold. But then once we got to Talon Overworld, that's when we had to okay, now we got to find new solutions to problems, because it wasn't as clear cut at what we had to do to clean up a lot of the things that the original game, let's just say, probably due to crunch time, didn't necessarily do too well.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. Some of those seams and those UVs were really a mess.
Oh, man.
It took a lot of time and effort to ultimately decide that we had to go with the simplest possible approach, and we couldn't really do any detail or micro detail at all in any of those textures or those materials, and it definitely it affected it. I think that's probably my favorite part of the official remaster, is that area, because they were able to completely put in new models and do everything that we wanted to do, but it looks amazing. It's beautiful. I love that area.
I'd say within our limitations, I think Ray and the Dolphin team did such a great job trying to fix that area, despite the limitations.
Yeah, there was a lot of efforts made. I think the project really bringing together all these different elements throughout the community, and it wasn't just us. We had people in the emulator programming space that were helping us and that were interested in what we were doing. And so having that, I think if we would continue to work together, it's hard to say what we ultimately may have been able to accomplish, because we were doing a lot already as it is, considering we're just working with an emulator. And I think we were talking on the server the other day about the RTX remix software, and in some ways we did that first. We injected ourselves into those calls, right? And we started intercepting and making change right there on the fly through emulation. But it's basically what RTX is doing. It's just they got access directly to the APIs and everything, so they're able to get assets and everything. It's pretty amazing. But we were kind of developing those types of tools ourselves for this project, and I think that's one thing that we still have to offer people, and to hope, maybe if there's another project worth doing. I've looked and I kept looking, and I'm like, God, what game? Is there any other game that I'd like to, maybe do something similar to on the GameCube or the Wii? And I haven't been able to find anything personally, but
I just think one of the things about Metroid Prime is its critical acclaim. It's one of those games that transcend just being a GameCube game. It affected like the zeitgeist of game culture in many ways, and was ahead of its time upon release. So it's hard to just kind of pick any game we feel passionate about when we've got that high a pedigree for that style of game.
Yeah, that's the main point, is that it's got to be something that you're very passionate about, because of the amount of work and time it takes to do it, and to get anywhere with it, right? But we've already developed so many tools. That's why I was like, man, if there was just another game on the Wii or the GameCube that I felt that way about, I wouldn't mind working on it, just to keep the workflow going and just to see where that could lead. But I think ultimately, as we'll talk more about this other project, what we were trying to accomplish there is still in a goal in mind. Something that I still like to see come to fruition is some kind of completed game or mod. I don't know. I still think the idea of MPR being a VR experience is enticing and sounds good, but there's just a whole another mess of things you have to work around to do that too. So, and I'm not adept at any of those particular skill sets that it would take to accomplish that. So I'm looking at, from my standpoint, artistically, it's like music, graphics, texture work, stuff like that. Maybe modeling, but I don't have enough time to really dedicate to developing that skill. So it'd probably be more stuff that's taking advantage of the skill sets that I've already developed, but maybe pushing them and involving those too.
Absolutely. All right, next question says, do we have any other projects in the works? We'll leave that one for a little bit later. We'll circle back to that one. Instead, let's talk about what actually stopped Project MPR in its tracks. What do we all think about the official remaster by Nintendo?